everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Cal. I'm an artist, and here on this channel I'm treating it as my little online archive as I document my process and my journey to opening a small little art shop called Saguko. So if you're interested in seeing how all of that unfolds, then please come aboard. We've got plenty of room. Like and subscribe if you want to. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about balance. More specifically, balancing school, balancing working full-time, and balancing getting the shop opened and running it, potentially. Also wrote notes too, to kind of keep my thoughts a little bit more organized. And I have my matcha, my homemade matcha latte, which, by the way, I just learned, because I'm late to the party, but I just learned that the type of matcha you choose is really dependent on how good it's going to taste. I feel like I've spent my whole life just drinking poor quality matcha, and I love matcha ice cream, love matcha mochi, matcha lattes from Starbucks, and those were always good, but when I tried to make it my own, like matcha flavored anything, the flavor was always just like not good. And I just thought maybe I'm not doing it right, or maybe I don't like matcha as much as I thought I did. And then I finally came across some YouTube video. There's tons of them talking about like good quality matcha versus bad quality matcha. And I learned that ceremonial grade matcha is where it's at. This whole time I've just been using like a basic low grade matcha that's extremely bitter. It's got like a dull green quality, and I learned that ceremonial grade matcha is supposed to be like slightly more sweet and slightly more vibrant. So that's how you know, and it just has to say ceremonial on the packaging. So I went to Whole Foods, bought some ceremonial grade matcha, and I have to say, like, it's just miles apart. It's so much better. Even when I would add sugar to the low grade matcha, the flavor would still be off. And I'm like, I don't know if I like matcha as much as I think I do, but I do. I do like it. And you know, it's all because, hey, I've just been eating poor quality matcha this whole time. My matcha chakras have been open. So, all right. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about balancing school, work, getting this business open. This is, fair warning, this is going to be more of a like face-to-face video versus like a typical vlog style video that I normally do. Just because I don't have anything like crazy to show as well art-wise. I have been working on some designs, and I'll show those at the end of the video. But as far as like filming my process, or filming my drawing process like I normally do, I haven't really had time to do that. But I will at least show you what I've been working on. So yeah, I started school. Officially May 1st, because that's, I took what is called a term break. But I didn't actually register for courses until about a few days ago. So I've just kind of been hitting the books since then. So as far as a little bit of background goes, I attend an online university called Western Governors University, or WGU, and they are just known for their flexibility for students who might have, you know, more delegating responsibilities, such as juggling a full-time job, juggling parenting, and just whatever the case may be. They are just known for having that flexibility to still earn your degree while balancing life. And they're known as being a competency-based university, where after diving into your studies, your skills are just measured through, let's say, either a test or a real-world building project, or a I think, what is it called? There's like one big major project that you have to do at the end of your degree, but the name escapes me right now. But yeah, that's kind of essentially how it works, and it is at your own pace. So it's not like a traditional college where you have to tune in online at a specific time to hear your professor lecture. This is really just at your own pace, and more of a self-driven university, because there's no professor that's going to tell you like, hey, I noticed you didn't turn in that work, or I noticed, you haven't logged on in a while. Like, this is really all you driven. And it is an accredited college. I know even myself, I had some reservations, attending a school where you can get your degree essentially in any time frame that you want. I think that's going to put a little people off because we are used to the traditional pathway of getting a degree. But WGU is accredited. There are people who have graduated and gone off to get the jobs that, they were hoping to get with this degree. So I'm hoping that with some discipline and hard work, I have that same outcome. But yeah, I'm excited to be back in school, especially since I did take a long break questioning whether I wanted to do school again or not. And I ultimately decided that I did. So I guess that brings me into why did I go back? So I do have a degree in bachelor's. I do have a bachelor's in graphic design. I was a graphic designer for about almost 3 years after graduating. Graduated in 2020, by the way. And I just realized I didn't like doing it, or I didn't want to make graphic design my pinnacle as far as like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And in hindsight, I think it was just, even though I worked for a great company, I had great coworkers, in hindsight, I think it was just the type of work that I was doing as a graphic designer that was making me unhappy, and not graphic design itself. I mean, maybe it was all of it, because with graphic design, you do have to work with picky clients, and that can get kind of debilitating. And you have to go by the style and process of whoever you're working for. So it can be limiting as far as creativity goes. My cat is using the bathroom, so I'm sorry if you hear her scraping litter in the background. I'm just gonna wait till she's done. I think she's done. Okay. So when you work for, when you do graphic design and it's not freelance, even if it's freelance, you still kind of have to work within the vision of your client. And maybe that's something I just didn't also enjoy, if I'm being honest. So fast forward, I'm like trying to think, well, what do I want to do? And I never really saw myself as being exceptional in the sciences and the maths. I chose graphic design because I thought that was my only option as a creative. And I do look back and I'm like, well, what if I thought I could do more? What if I thought and believed that I was capable of learning a more challenging subject? And I actually enjoyed that challenging subject. So that's kind of where I'm at today. I had to think, okay, well, what else could I see myself doing? If it's not graphic design, where do I go from here? And IT just kind of seemed like a subject matter that was not only just remotely interesting to me, but the concept of it, I felt like I could grasp a little better. And yeah, I just decided to give it a shot. And I was doing IT for a little over a year. I started off as a software technician, like a help desk software technician for a company. Then I went on to be a PC technician, and then I got into a help desk, I got into a help desk role, an online help desk role that really catered to the skills that I was looking for. But I did leave that company for reasons, and now I am not currently in IT. Right now I work at a warehouse, but I chose to leave that company. One of the reasons was because of money. They weren't paying enough, and also I just didn't like the environment. And the company that I currently work for now offers tuition reimbursement. So when I decided, I think I want to go back to school because I really want to use my degree as leverage for essentially just more opportunity and more money. I hate to say it, but it's as blunt as that. I just wanted more money because I wanted a better future, not just for myself, but a future where I can actually give to my friends and family when they need it. A future that is just a little bit more stable than what I have right now. And I think going back to school is going to help me reach that goal. So that's, to put it as simply as possible, why I decided to go back. And I would say it's scary because I think there is still a part of me that believes that I won't be capable. That's just my thought. That's just who I am. And it is a personality trait or a behavior that I'm really trying to unlearn. And it's so hard to unlearn things when the older you get. I'm 30. So to still have those limiting mindset at this age, it's really difficult to kind of like step back and be like, who says you can't learn cybersecurity? Who says you can't get this degree? Who says you can't get a job in that field? And who says you can't run this business? You know, the only person saying it is me. I'm the only person telling myself I can't do it. And I think because I believed I couldn't do things, I just never tried. And so here we are. So I'm excited to get back and hit the grindstone. My first class is, I'm not gonna lie, it's dry as heck. It is business of IT, and of course that's very important, but it's mostly, so right now it's talking about project management, what it means to be a project manager. And with that course, so depending on your degree field, your degree is going to give you a bunch of certifications. So before I even enrolled into WGU, to get my foot into the door of IT, I got my A+ certification and my Sec+ certification from CompTIA. And I would say my A+ helped me get my foot in the door, and then my Sec+, I'll be honest, I'm not going to say it didn't do anything, because I think the last IT company I worked for, I think they did see that and go like, oh, okay, she actually, took the time and energy to learn this new skill, and she's not even from the tech. She doesn't even have a tech background. And that's an advice that I guess someone had asked me on one of my someone had asked me on one of my TikTok reels. TikTok reels is not a thing. Someone had asked me on one of my TikToks, how did I get into IT? So if you're watching this video and you also want to get into IT, I just told that individual, I got my foot through CompTIA certifications, A+ and Sec+. That's not always the way to go, but it does help. And as long as you show employers that you have a willingness and eagerness to learn, and the fact that you even have certifications to back you up, it just means that you took the time to, actually learn the skill. I think employers are impressed by that, especially if you don't even have a background in computers. So that's, if there's any kind of advice that I could actually give someone, is that. Don't be intimidated if you want to get into tech, don't be intimidated by what you don't have. Just go after the small stuff first and then use that to get your foot in the door. But yeah, the first class is about project management. So I was browsing Reddit to kind of see like how people got through this course. And a lot of people are saying it's so dry. There's even a YouTuber who works in cybersecurity. I think he goes by Cybex. And I was watching his video on how he got through his Project Plus class, and he said the exact same thing. Like, it's so dry, and the only thing that helped him was reading this book. And I agree. There's just some subjects where I absorb material by watching videos, and then some subjects I absorb by reading. And he was saying how reading actually helped him absorb the material a little better. So I'm gonna take his advice and try it out for myself. But that is my first class, and I am excited to hopefully kind of like make my younger self proud. The one who thought like, oh, you're not smart enough to work in this field. You're not smart enough to be a chemist. At one point I thought my major was going to be chemistry, and I took some chemistry courses, and I thought I thought it wasn't for me, and I gave up. You're not smart enough to do these things. I want to shut that version of myself up and let her know, like, you've always been capable of doing whatever you wanted, achieving whatever goals you have in mind. And I just wish I was a little bit more delulu back then. What they're saying now, you have to be a little bit delulu to get the things that you want. And I just wish I believed in myself a little more. And again, I'm still working through that negative behavior of like thinking I'm not good enough or not smart enough. And I just want to prove my past self wrong and make her proud. But yeah, so after Project Plus, I have Net Plus, or I have networking. So networking is kind of scary to me because it does involve a lot of numbers, and I'll be honest, numbers kind of scare me, but I'm just gonna, oh my gosh. She does not like me talking. This is like the third time she's done this today. Honey, I need my personal space. Do you even know what that is? I don't think she knows what that is. Oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna let her sit and then I'm gonna still film. Give me a second. A little better. Hopefully she's not as distracting. She's giving herself a bath right now. Look, if you're gonna stay here, I need you to behave, okay? All right, this is a family channel. Anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, I'm excited to dive into these, you know, this major, this degree. I hope I can finish in about 2 years. I'm giving myself 2 years to finish. But I also accept the fact that it could take longer. So how am I gonna, let's get to the like real topic of this video though. How am I gonna do school and do my business and work full-time without burning out or crashing out? So one thing about my job is I do like my schedule. It can be a little hard sometimes because it's like you got to get through those 10-hour days, but it's I work 4 10s and I have 3 days off. And I think ideally that is kind of what I need right now. Those 3 days off make a huge difference when I'm not picking up shifts. When I'm picking up shifts, it just feels like an endless loop of I don't want to get into work right now, but when I'm not picking up shifts, having those 3 days off are essential to me kind of taking care of what I need to take care of. So I typically go into work around 6. I leave my house around 5 p.m. and I get off at 5 a.m. And as far as how I'm going to squeeze studying into it, with my schedule, I feel like it makes it really easy versus if I was still working a typical 9 to 5. Before my warehouse job, I was working 7 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m. And that still sounds like deal, like you have enough time, but I don't know what it is, but working that schedule, I was just drained all the time. And I felt like I didn't have a lot of energy to do a lot of stuff. But now that I work night shift, you would think that I would have less energy. And on some days I do have less energy because my job is very physically demanding. But I feel like I actually have more to squeeze in. So I told myself, you know, in the mornings, so I plan on using my 4 days of work to really dedicate my free time to studying. So in the morning, or in my case, the afternoon, when I wake up, I normally wake up between 10 and 12 p.m. I would, you know, that gives me like 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours before I have to head into work. So I think that's plenty of time to maybe squeeze in 2 to 3 hours of studying every day. And then on the weekends, my 3 days off, dedicate at least 5 minimum. So maybe studying 2.5 hours in the morning, 2.5 at night. I did not study this morning though, even though I should have, because I knew like today's priority is to just get this video filmed. But that's another thing. I have to like figure out how I'm going to rearrange my priorities, rearrange what needs to be done today, what can wait. But the day is still young. It's only 10 a.m. right now. And I've been up since 6 a.m. trying to film and work. I'm actually re-recording this as we speak. I already recorded this and I'm re-recording it because I felt like the first time I did it, my thoughts were still all over the place, even though I took notes. But yeah, that's essentially what I plan on doing on the days that I'm working, instead of squeezing in, because with art, when I try to design, you are really distracting right now. When I try to work on designs, there is like no set time limit. And what I mean by that is I can think that I'm going to work on a design for an hour, and that hour turns into 2 hours, it turns into 3 hours. And so some days it feels like I'm not getting anything done, or some days it feels like I wasted time trying to rework a design, even though I know that's not the case. We shouldn't be thinking like that, but that's just how it feels like sometimes. So if I'm gonna quote quote waste time on working on designs that I feel may not be going anywhere, I rather waste that time on days where my time feels more endless, such as the weekends, versus on days where my time feels more limited, like the weekdays. With studying, I feel like there's more concrete, there's more of a concrete objective and a defining end goal. So I can say like, okay, I'm gonna spend 2 hours reading through chapter 1, 2 hours reading through chapter 1 and writing notes and making sure I understand and reflect on the material. And yes, that may take that doesn't always take like an hour. Sometimes it takes a little more because you have to reread things, but I still feel like the goal is more finite versus if I spend time working on a design and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is taking, I started this an hour ago and 3 hours has passed. True story. It just takes time to work on art concepts and refine them and all that jazz. So that's kind of how I plan on balancing it all. Dedicating a specific time during the weekday to my studies. Still putting in a little bit more time into my studies on the weekends, but I think I would still have ample amount of time to make sure that I'm focusing on designs. I have to still build a website. I know I will have that energy to put into my small business on the weekdays. Now, as far as squeezing in both, such as doing art stuff and school. Before I was just doing art stuff on my working days. Now I can't do that. I think it's not that I can't. We don't want to say can't. I just think it's kind of like, I just think on the weekdays, my priority should be dedicated more towards school. Because this is, even though I don't want to say that my art shop is not important anymore. Just because I'm in school, I don't want to say that starting this business is not a priority, because it is. I think that this is something that would just not fulfill me, because you don't want to throw your fulfillment. But in a sense, yeah, art has always been something that has given me joy, has given me energy. And I think my goal this year is to make money off of my art, to share it with you guys, to share it with the world, and it's just a really cool feeling to create something, have it in your hand, have it in your notebook, whatever it is. And that is still something that I really want, but I also want to get my degree. So they both sound like tall orders that may or not be able to be successfully fulfilled, but I am going to combat that doubt and actually just, make sure. I think the key in all of this is just time management. That's really all it is. Time management, and of course, some sacrifice and discipline. It's funny because I just came across a video by an artist named Tammy, or Uncomfy. She's this crazy cool clay artist. She started her online business just selling little handmade charms and figurines and keychains, and now she has pivoted into more manufactured goods. So it's just been really nice to see where she started and where she's at. And she recently posted a video that broke down her small business journey in a 5-year chunk, because I think her channel or her business is 5 years old. And I did like how blunt and honest she was in a section of that video where she just talked about, I had to basically make a choice between getting straight A's and running my business. And she ultimately decided that, even though she had still graduated college, she got her degree, her goal still wasn't to work for a big company at the end of the day. She knew she wanted to be her own boss. And so a majority of her time and energy went into her business. And she essentially kind of said, you can't always have it all. Even though I'm kind of like, you know, being extra delusional and thinking that I can do both. I can do both. But I did appreciate her transparency. Like, she essentially sacrificed being a top student to run her business. And I think sharing those things is important because it is challenging to balance, you know, these added responsibilities. It's, you know, it's like, if you want to be an athlete, what do you have to do to be an athlete? You have to train, you know, twice as hard as you probably would train if you were just going to the gym like a regular Sally or a regular Sandy. Honey, I'm trying to film here. You know, you have to sacrifice getting drinks or sweets with your friends. Don't sniff the paint water. I'm just gonna... Ooh. You have to sacrifice, you know, going out for drinks with your friends or eating that chocolate cake. You know, there's this one YouTuber I was watching who said, you know, in order for him to look a certain way, he doesn't pig out on sweets anymore. He has sacrificed sugar to maintain his physique. And and that's something that I respect, actually. It's something I'm not willing to do because I love sugar too much. But I respect people who are honest about like, hey, I gave up this thing because I really wanted this. And so I can imagine that I probably will run into that crossroad of maybe I will face that dilemma of like, what do I want more? You know, I think truthfully, I do want my art business slightly more than I want, not my degree. I want my degree, but I may want my art business more than I want to go back to like corporate life. Which is, you know, kind of scary because it's like, well, if you want it more, then why are you putting your energy into this degree? I think I know one of the reasons is because I think I do need I want a backup plan. You know, this art business could be totally lucrative, totally successful, and it could replace the income that I make today. It could. However, I also acknowledge the fact that sometimes having a business is not always, it can make you feel financially unsafe, you know? 1 month you're doing really well, the next month maybe you're not doing so good. Whereas like if you do have a job where you're working for another company, at least you can predict the financial flow coming in. You can predict that you're gonna get a paycheck. And I had mentioned in my first video, I think realistically, that is the type of life I wouldn't mind living, where I do have a steady flow of income coming from like working part-time, and then the other 20 hours or more is dedicated to running my business. And I think that would be kind of an ideal situation because it's just a comforting feeling knowing you're always getting a paycheck versus, man, I made $2,000 this month, but will I make $2,000 again next month? You know, I hope that makes sense. So yeah, again, I really appreciated Tammy's honesty, and that is something that I have to think about when it comes to, you know, juggling, it's not just school and work I have to worry about. It's, you know, my relationships, making time for friends and family and my boyfriend, and making sure that I'm not neglecting them. Because Tammy did, she shared, she fell into that pitfall of neglecting her relationships because her business was top priority. So that is like, that is kind of a scary thought. Like, man, I don't want to like sacrifice my relationships. And I believe you don't have to. You just might have to say no a little bit more than you did because new goals and objectives have entered the chat, essentially. So that's kind of how I plan on balancing this all without being burnt out. There's a chance I will still get very burnt out from all of this, even though even in theory, I have the plan all figured out. Okay, I'm just gonna dedicate 2 hours of studying Sunday through Wednesday, and then Thursday through Saturday, I'll dedicate 5 hours or more, and then I'll also have time to design, content create, edit. I can do it all. I can totally do it all. I can, cook dinner, clean the house. I'll just never sleep. That's all. That solves everything. I just have to get rid of sleep out of the equation and then problem solve. I can do it all. Yeah, but in practice, so I'm just hoping that if I do reach that brink of burnout, I will find a healthy manner to cope with it. For example, I will probably stop picking up extra shifts unless it's absolutely necessary. I've been picking up extra shifts to like save up for a trip. Well, not a trip, but a few trips coming up this year. But now that school is back into play, I will probably pause on taking extra shifts just so I can have those 3 days off dedicated to studying and dedicated to the business. So that's how I plan on doing it all. And again, hopefully I'm successful without having to burn myself out too much to the point where I'm just not putting in the best effort that I can put into both school and my business. And lastly, I want to talk about, are there any other, or not even talk about, but just like bring up the question, are there other artists on here who are also doing a non-art related degree or field, or who also decided to go back to school? I want to know who you are. I want to talk to you because I feel like it would be so nice to form a community of, like, hey, I'm also working hard to study, get a better job, but also like, I crochet on the side and, I make bags or whatever it is. Like, I want to meet you because in my life outside of the online world, I don't have friends who are going back to school. I don't have friends who are starting their own business, and I don't have art friends either. So I feel like that's three things working against me as far as my outside relationships. So it'd be nice if there's like other people out there who are essentially kind of in a similar position or in the same boat, working towards the same goals. Where are you? I want to meet you. But yeah, I think that's really it. So now that that's out of the way, wish me luck. Wishing myself luck. And again, I'm just doing this I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I believe that it will kind of put me in a better spot financially, when you have a degree, even though they say you don't need a degree. And I think both things can be true at the same time. As they say, there's some people, like my friend's fiance, he broke into tech and he actually has a pretty good paying job with no degree, no certifications. He was a cook, and then he just applied to like a fiber optics job, just dropping cables. And he did that for about 9 months before he transitioned into his networking job now. No degrees. He says he still wants to go after, get his certifications. And I told him, you can if you want, but I don't, I think he said he still wanted his Net Plus. I was like, I don't even think you need your Net Plus. If anything, go after the CCNA, because that's a little bit more advanced. But he did it, no degrees, no certs. So it's totally possible. It's totally doable. In his case, he's one of the lucky few. He just happened to find a job that would accept him for his lack of certifications, his lack of industry experience, and it all worked out for him. And then there's some people like me where it's if luck isn't going to play in my favor, then maybe I need a little extra leg up as far as maybe getting some credentials that would at least let you know, hey, I know some stuff. I don't know everything, but I know some stuff. So I want to use my degree to leverage, potentially more money whenever I do leave my current company and transition to another company. And there is this part of me that also is just I do find cybersecurity interesting. With so many data breaches out there, I would love to know, how to actually combat them or prevent them. As far as career goes, I wouldn't mind being an IT auditor. Essentially evaluating companies' networks and making sure that they're secure and following the proper protocols and seeing what their frameworks look like. Although I imagine I'd probably be very hated because nobody likes auditors. So that is something that I want. Like, I hate that I want this career, and I also want, you know, to still be an artist. And I don't know. I feel like, why do you have to fight that? Why do you only have to be one thing? So we shall see. I probably will not make this channel like about studying, but if you're interested in hearing how like my school career is going, I will update you all here and there if it's relevant. So that's really it. So again, that's really all I had to talk about today. So let's go ahead and give you all an update on what I've been doing artistically and take it from there. So I actually haven't really been sketching or designing as much because I've been I've been recovering from a really bad cold. I had a respiratory infection. I guess that's not a cold then, it's a respiratory infection. And also, what else? I started school. Essentially what this entire video is about. So I haven't really had the time, or I guess I haven't been carving out the time to really sit down and design some things. And I wanted to focus on my character Pepe. So I need to do a video that like actually introduces these characters, like kind of talk about their backstory. I did a little bit when it came to Sagu, talking about her backstory and everything, but I want to actually talk about my other characters. So this is like an informal introduction. So this is Pepe, one of my OCs. She is heavily based off of my mom and my grandma, and she is just a delight to be around. She loves to feed you with her food. Her love language is cooking and just baking for her friends and family, and she lives on a little island and likes to go on adventures with her best friend Sagu. And one of the defining characteristics of her, like how I explained with Sagu, how like her hair is kind of like a fishtail in a sense, even though people have been saying her hair is a heart. And I love that. It's not supposed to be a heart, but I love that people are actually looking at it and like, because I feel like it still makes sense. So I'm not even mad that people don't see the fishtail. I love that. But her defining characteristics is that her hair, her little pigtails, are little patés or empanada. People have been commenting and saying like, oh, her pigtails are empanadas. And I also love that. I love that they can see that, because empanadas I think is more, it's more, you know, in Hispanic culture or Spanish culture. But I grew up eating what's called pate, which is essentially like Caribbean empanadas, you know? So if you see it as an empanada, awesome. I think that's so cool that you even noticed that it's supposed to be like a food item in general. So thank you for that. But her little pigtails, it's supposed to be pate. It's like a doughy, like meat stuffed, fried bread. And it's really good, and I grew up eating it, and my mom and my grandma made them all the time. So yeah, that's kind of where she comes from. Or, oh my gosh, if you knock over my tea. She's back in action, everybody. So I took those sketches and I digitized them. So here's Pepe holding her little rum cake that she is ready to share with you. And similar to how I put Sagu in her little salmon suit, I wanted Pepe to have her own like food related suit. So for hers, it's coconut. And my mom is also a huge gardener now. She's been into gardening for like a few years now. So I wanted to incorporate that activity into my character as well. So yeah, I wanted to show her some love again, because she is kind of like a representation of my mom, my grandma, just that like my culture in general. And I wanted to essentially use this character to show that, like show the appreciation I have for my mother and from my grandma. And yeah, she actually has no idea this little character exists. Don't read that. I didn't realize that I was missing. Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to try and give this character a little bit more attention because she is, again, heavily inspired by my mom, my grandma. I wanted to have a character that incorporated Caribbean culture, especially since you don't see like a lot of like cutesy, kawaii-esque things that throw in a Caribbean vibe or a Caribbean mix. And that's kind of what not Sagu, but that's kind of what Pepe represents and why I made her. So I'm definitely going to have these designs made. And then I'm also working on thank you cards as well. Cattail is in the way. But yeah, when you have looked at something for a really long time and then you come back to it and you're just like, I either still really love this or this needs to be improved upon. That's kind of how I'm feeling about a lot of these designs, actually. So the thank you cards, there's some designs that I probably won't use, like Sagu, like in a bear costume, but I probably won't use that. And if I do use it, it'll probably get a redesign. Yeah, there's a lot in here that just won't, like even this one right here. The proportions of Sagu are like really different. And I liked it at first and I was like, oh wow, this is actually pretty cute. But then I looked at it again and I was like, actually, I don't like this. And so I took that pose and what did I do? Where is it? I redesigned it to kind of like make her more, I don't know, just give her more cutesy characteristics, like a bigger head, bigger eyes, smaller body. And this is one of my favorite designs. So I'm really glad that I took the time to kind of redo some of that. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing with the thank you cards. So let me at least show you my sketches. Okay. Like even this one, I have but I have a sticker that says music is my medicine. But instead of, here's what it originally looked like. I'll just put it on the screen. Instead of Sagu playing her guitar, it's actually going to be another one of my OCs, Nori. And I've already done a sticker of Nori. I'll also put that on the screen. But I want to do more of her as well and kind of give her more of a backstory and flesh her out. All these characters, they all need to be fleshed out. But this is another sticker that I'm trying to redesign based off of an old concept. And okay, so the thank you cards, it kind of starts right here. I just wanted to do something that was like, I guess a little bit more fun, that had more movement, I don't know. So I kind of started out with this. I just wanted it to be like Sagu and then like the name of the company, and then just like play around with like shape and color. And then I moved on to this where it's like more of a framing device and it's Sagu. I actually still really like this, but it probably won't make it into the cut. So the ones that I actually enjoyed the most was this one right here, where it's Sagu. She's gonna be like looking monochromatic, and overlapping her and behind her are just gonna be colorful flowers while she holds numbers, and then arigato at the bottom of it for thank you. And then I had this one where it's a little bit more minimal. It has more of a minimal design. And she's just sitting on a flower and it says thank you on the side. And here's what the back would look like correlating with this design. Here's what the back would look like, essentially, where some of those flowers kind of trickle into the back and kind of like frame what is going to be in the middle, which is going to be, thank you or some kind of special saying. And then I would have space to actually write out my actual words, and then below would be like the logo and what else? The logo and my socials and a QR code essentially. But to get the QR code, I have to work on the website. And then I really like this design as well. So I'll bring out my iPad for this one. So with this design, so the backstory with Sagu is like she's spending her life essentially trying to catch poor numbers. Like she just wants to eat him because she's obsessed with salmon. And
I wanted the front of the card to just have her like fishing, like throwing her line, and then when you flip the card over, the line is going to continue onto the back and numbers is going to be there, and that's where you'll see like all the other bits of information that would go on a thank you card. So I did start designing a few of these. Okay, so so here is the front of that design for the original sketch. I'll put them side by side, but I'm already really liking how this turned out. I think it's so cute and I can't wait to see it in my hand. The back, however, the back is a work in progress. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out the composition and things like that. I think I worked on the back a little bit actually. Let me see. So here's what I kind of have for the back. I actually like the sketch that I did, like the chicken scratch. Sorry, there's cat hair in this. I actually like the chicken scratch better than what I have here. So maybe it's best that I go by what I already started here instead of kind of like winging this design, because that's kind of what I'm doing essentially. And I still have to figure out font and all the other details, but yeah. And then I started working on the other design of her fishing, and again having that line cross over into the back of the card. And I'm excited. I think I'm gonna stick with these two designs. Maybe I'll work on this one, but I also don't want to overwhelm myself with too many options. And also I can always change it. Like whatever I create, it doesn't have to be set in stone. I can always just introduce a new thank you card if I want for the month. Maybe that could be a thing where each thank you card is different per month, but that could also get maybe a little expensive and time consuming. And we just want to make sure we're directing our energy towards things that matter most, like designing stickers or designing merchandise. But yeah, I think that's it. And here's just me doodling. I think that's really all I have. That is it as far as what I've been working on design wise. I do have one more thing to show you all though, so I will be right back. I got a thermal printer and I got it in pink. I thought I got it in purple, but pink's fine too. Yes, I got a Moonbin thermal printer. And even though I am just starting off with stickers, so that means I'll probably just be doing regular snail mail, like stamps and whatnot, and actually writing down the addresses. So you don't need a thermal printer starting out. But even though I didn't need a thermal printer now, I was convinced to buy one because of an artist online named Shirley, or Shuli.art. And she had created a little reel that explained the convenience of having a thermal printer and being able to make stickers on the fly. And I thought this would be good to use for like thank you stickers that I would put on envelopes. And in Shirley's video, she mentions that she actually used them as freebies. So there's so many, like, getting this essentially created versatility as far as what I could use it for, not just for printing labels, but for printing quick little stickers as well. I just gotta find a spot for it. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I just like the color. But yeah, I wish I could, ooh, sample. I wish I could demonstrate to you all, you know, what this could potentially offer for my business. But unfortunately, I made a purchase. So I have been ordering some things from Amazon. I ordered envelopes, a little container to hold my stickers, and I ordered clear labels specifically for my thermal printer. But they got delayed and they are not in yet. They should be coming in today actually, so that'd be nice. If they come in today, I'll make like a little TikTok showing me using the printer and like what designs I would use it for. But yeah, overall I'm kind of happy with, I am happy with this, but I guess we'll have to see if it actually like does the job first. but I'm sure it will. And if not, you know, that's what returns are for.
All right, so that is, oh, the camera's right here. All right, so that is it for today's video. That is it for today's video. Again, I know the formatting of this was a little different. I just kind of wanted to be a little bit more candid, and again, discuss what it's like, or discuss how I plan to finish school, run this business, work full time, not to mention, you know, make sure that I'm keeping up with the house and like other chores and duties outside of everything that I talked about. And I hope that you were able to get a little, maybe not insight, because I wasn't, you know, I feel like I'm not in a position to offer advice yet because I have to live through these experiences first before I can even share, like, this is what I did to get to where I am. But maybe I at least offered some kind of like comfort in the sense of, hey, someone else is doing what I'm doing. That's cool. I really like seeing stuff like that. I like seeing people my age. I'm 30. So I love coming across other artists who are in the same age, doing the same thing. And it does kind of make you, and also talking about the same struggles or pitfalls, it does make you feel like you're a little less alone. I don't have friends who are currently in college. You know, I don't have friends who have made a career change as well. So I feel as if sometimes it is like a little, you know, it would be nice to just connect with other people who are in that same bracket. Like, hey, I'm also going back to school. I'm also an artist in an unrelated field. And I also want to start my own business. I'm just looking for like that community. So if that's you, please let me know. Comment below, you know, what your journey is looking like, what your occupation is, and like what your end goal is. Like, are you going back to school too? Are you also trying to get a business off of the ground? Or are you just happy, you know, where you're at? And if you are, that's amazing, because I think that's so rare. So yeah, I think that's literally all I have today in today's video. Next video, I don't know. Next video, we will figure out what we're going to talk about in the next video. But for now, I hope you all have a great Friday. Today's Friday, my day off. That's why I'm filming. I hope you have an awesome Friday, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much for stopping by, and like and subscribe if you want to. Can you say bye? Can you say bye? No? Okay. Next time. Next time.